All right, so we got a mono green Mirror and Pioneer.
Oh my god, how do those play out?
And then we got Izzet versus 4-color in both Modern and Legacy.
You know, there's something about these like big ramp mirrors that I kind of adore. It's just like watching a Michael Bay movie or something, like a guilty pleasure almost. Like, yeah, just like do everything you can on every single turn, explosions left and right, nobody's stopping anyone. Just be as big as you can be. As we
Yeah.
start with the Lana Wire from the first turn.
I mean, you are right about not stopping each other. There is not much in the way of removal or even interaction anyway here. We're just trying to build up devotion for combo wins. Maybe we'll actually see somebody just win with damage and
You
be
don't sound
unable to.
convinced.
I mean, no, it could easily happen. If you're unable to, it depends on, like, Old Girls Trolls is a good start to be trying to win with damage. Kaleb with a early Nykthos, so actually unable to play an Old Girls Troll even if he has one. As a Kiora comes down. So more mana potential here in the future with the Nykthos and being able to tap it twice, but not enough green pips yet. And will Pulliam. I suppose you attack the Kiora unless you think you're actually going to win on damage.
Yeah, is this matchup all about stopping the combo? Really?
Well, I mean, you can't even really stop the combo, but
I mean, but by basically making
yeah,
sure that, well, yeah,
yeah,
you're right. Like they technically they could like sorcery speed the entire combo, right? Just like get the
yeah,
planeswalkers down and everything.
yeah. So with 5 power on the board, Will could knock this Kiora down to 2. Okay, a Karn revealed on the Oath of Nissa.
Oh, and by the way, while the game is this slow, should we quickly explain what the combo does? Like, let's not get into too much detail,
Yeah,
because I looked it up before I casted this tournament, and it's actually quite complicated.
it is. And there's actually variations of these green devotion decks. Some of them are mono green still, some are splashing black, some are splashing blue and white, and some of them are splashing Nicol Bolas without any ability to cast it whatsoever.
I love that.
So, but in all the cases, Karn can wish for, uh, I think it's called
Restorative burst.
Pestilent. Pestilent Cauldron, which is on the other side, is called Restorative Burst. Both sides get used. The Restorative Burst gets used to put the Planeswalkers back into play to get real additional uses, and then wishing for Chain Veil to be able to reactivate Planeswalkers. And
And I
that
think that
is
the beauty about Chainwhale is that it not only makes it so that your current planeswalkers can be used a second time, but any planeswalker you activate this turn, right, or have come into play at this turn, you can be used an additional time.
that is
And that's
correct.
how you, I guess, to sum it up, you get Kiora into play, which allows you to untap Nykthos as many times as you like, make a bunch of mana. And yeah, that's probably like, I'm not even sure how you actually win the game from there. It's probably going to be a Karn minus.
Yeah,
And yeah, then you just like kill them with Pestilence Cauldron or something. There's nothing
yeah,
else.
yeah. You can mill them with Pestilent Cauldron. If you're the black versions can actually take infinite turns with Ugin's Nexus by wishing for
This
that.
really is a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, I know. Boy, there's a lot going. Cavalier of Thorns here missed for Kaleb Busby. Did not find a land in the top 5, so unfortunate there. And Will Pulliam trying to figure out, without access to a Nykthos, how much can he actually do with this Karn, and is it worth even getting right now? These sideboards of these decks, they used at the beginning, like go back like 5 or 6 weeks, these sideboards were like 11 artifacts to wish for, and then a set of Skylashers. That has changed dramatically. Now the couple cards to play defense with that actually get boarded in are sometimes Voracious Hydras, sometimes Portable Holes, sometimes Fatal Pushes, depending on what color you're playing. As a Storm the Festival here for Will Pulliam finds another Ogre Troll and a Nykthos, which means a whole lot of mana if he could activate it this turn, which I don't believe he can.
So I'm looking at the sideboards right now, and it's actually 15 one-offs on both sides.
Okay.
On one side we have Voracious Hydra as something that's probably gets sided in, and I feel like all the other 29 cards are just like wish targets unless I missed something.
Okay. Yeah, the Hydra in this matchup can actually pick off an elf early, which actually can make a difference. So here we go. Wolfwillow Haven for Kaleb off of an elf in a forest.
And now that we talk about it, by the way, when I was first preparing for this, I asked a friend of mine, so how does the format work? And he told me, so the way Pioneer works is you sit down and then mono green punches you in the face. Is that how it usually goes?
I mean, mono green is good. Yeah, it is not unbeatable. It is definitely one of the top decks of the format, as we see here. This Nykthos activating twice, using up the Kiora to make some mana, but not.
You know, that would be quite interesting if this was unbeatable, because then the mirror match, like, that would be something.
Yeah.
The unstoppable force running into, I guess, also the unstoppable force then.
Yeah. So Storm the Festival for the other side, 2 mana floating. So if a Nykthos is found, it can be activated. And I believe Nykthos is found here. It's just a matter of what can Kaleb muster here, because Will Pulliam's card, one card in hand is known. It is a Karn.
Ooh.
And okay, the find is Cavalier and Kiora. So Nykthos is passed up, but this gives another Nykthos anyway, because Kiora can untap the one that's in play. And a card can be drawn off of Kiora,
This,
which is a bizarre
yeah.
interaction to me. That
How
Kiora.
exactly do we draw the card here?
So with Kiora, if you have a creature with power 4 or higher come into play, you draw a card. And the Kiora and the Cavalier came in simultaneously, and that's good enough for the Kiora to trigger.
Yeah, I guess the somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but like if something technically happens simultaneously, you still choose the order. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So here we have a Nykthos reactivating to go from 2 mana to 10. And we'll see. But unless Kaleb wins the game or takes even turns this turn, he can do whatever he wants to the board, but it's not going to matter if Will Pulliam is able to do as much back. Although playing a Karn does matter
Yeah, that stops the
because
combo on the other side of the board, right?
because that stops the artifacts from triggering on the other side of the board.
I'm constantly torn between, oh, this is the deck I want to play in Pioneer, and feeling like, oh, dude, I'd rather not play the mirror all day.
Well, I do not play this deck, but I've certainly played against it a lot of times, and it is frustrating because it is consistent and it is strong, but it does have bad matchups. We're going to see Storm the Festival flashback here for 10 mana, leaving 8 floating.
So the way this was explained to me was basically that it's almost like rock paper scissors, where mono green devotion beats Rector's midrange, which beats Azorius control, which beats mono green devotion. Is that
Uh,
roughly how it works?
I'm not. My feeling, my feeling is that green is actually fairly decent against blue-white control as well, but
Okay,
maybe that's
yeah.
not true. There's a Voracious
So
Hydra, so there's
the
actually one main deck here.
this matchup table that I'm looking at right now actually shows a positive matchup even for mono green devotion, but the
Yeah,
sample size is rather small at 27.
yeah. The weaker matchups for mono green are going to be heroic, which is just going to be able to get under it sometimes, and then spirits is actually tricky also because they're able to pressure in the air and then counter some of the key spells.
That's actually like a match made in heaven then. Like your stuff is unblockable, you get to go under most of the creatures, and you have counter spells.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I'm wondering, or rather, like, is Nykthos the card that really makes or breaks this? Or and is there
Yes.
any way to control your opponent's lands in the format? Is that like anything playable? Like, I don't want to call it land destruction. Sometimes it's just like a Summer Shade and part effect or something.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
there's
is it
Boseiju.
not worth?
There is
Okay,
Boseiju.
okay.
Generally, these decks play one. Some of them have two, but no one's playing a huge number. And Will Pulliam gets the turn back, which he was probably worried about whether that would actually happen or not. But he's got
Huh.
plenty of mana to work with here. Draws an elf, and I believe he's got Karn in hand, and he's got Storm the Festival in the graveyard, so he's got plenty to do. And Kaleb has obviously a very significant board presence right now, but that is unclear if that will actually matter here in game one.
my god, this is another Storm the Festival. That card is insane, by the way.
It's
This is
very
like
strong.
everything Collector Company always wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's double Cavalier. So that's gonna flip 5 cards twice and put lands into play, and flipping these cards go to the graveyard, not on the bottom of the deck. So if a Storm the Festival flips over, that can be cast as well if there's enough mana.
Is that tapped land on the top? Is that a Nyctas
It
promo
is.
or something? Ah, okay, I was
It's
wondering.
oh, it's a Nykthos. Yeah. So the Nykthos is currently the RCQ promotional card. If top 8, you get one in RCQ. If you win the RCQ, you get a foil one. And with no additional Nykthos found in those 10 cards, Will Pulliam's not going to have enough mana to work with here and pass the turn back. So we had 2 turns in a row, one turn for each player, where the game conceivably could have ended. It didn't happen, and we might actually see combat.
There's a deck like full of creatures, and Joe's like so excited. What is going on here? Like we see combat, like real creature tapping sideways, not for mana but for damage. What's going on here? I'm not trusting you. Like we have Kiora and a Nykthos. We can literally cast our entire deck at this point.
Yeah, this Nykthos taps for a
All of
lot.
it.
Yeah, looks like 3, 6, 8, 11, 12, 15 maybe.
We should play Fireball in this. I think I cracked the format.
Oh, we totally should. I don't know what the equivalent would be in this format, but it would ideally be a Planeswalker Fireball, as we can cast any color of Planeswalkers that we want with Oath in play. So
Oh,
that,
and is that how we cast that? I think I would guess Grixis Planeswalker that you talked about earlier.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
absurd.
yeah. You can get it off of Storm the Festival, or you can play it off of Oath of Nissa. You don't even have any blue, red, or black lands in that version. But you talked about how the Elves deck is developing quickly and recently in Legacy, and also Painter. This green deck in the last month, this green deck has evolved more than other decks have in Pioneer, I would say, on average. Here's another
Certainly
Storm
feels like.
Festival. I
Like
mean,
you told me about like all these splashes that people do, and now there's
yeah.
like extra planeswalkers coming in.
Mhm.
I maybe I'm gonna get this. Yeah, I wasn't like really big into Pioneer before, but like seeing this in action, this is like some actually good magic. It feels. I mean,
Well,
yeah, this is absurd. This is
yeah,
absolute absurdity. But I love having some absurdity in a format.
this is
And I mean, this is
definitely.
more than some.
I mean, these decks are so. And here's finally the card. And Will is gonna give it up. Yeah. So this game one's gonna go to Kaleb Busby after they both drop a bunch of devotion on the board, and then Karn will end it one way or another, probably with restorative burst, pestilent cauldron, comboing off. Anyway, let's go to another format. We're gonna switch over to Legacy, and we're gonna see Mr. Minsc.
Oh god, the game is already over. Like if we ever untap with Minsc, somehow there's no Boo in there. Or maybe we already went off. It looks like we already minused and drew a bunch of cards with Boo. Like Minsc and Boo, not available on Magic Online, even though they told us they are working on it. And that's an amazing Pokemon. You probably know the name of that. At least chat might know. Yeah, Minsc and Boo, one of the most underrated. Like people were discussing it, but given how much of a splash it has made in the format, I think it's one of the most underrated cards that was recently printed, and people are only like in the last 1 or 2 weeks really waking up to how powerful this card is.
Hey, and hold on.
Uh,
You told me no Snapcaster Mages would be making their presence felt, and yet here it is on the board.
it's a
And it
one-off.
obviously won the game. The
Yeah,
Snapcaster Mage just won the game.
I think it did. It probably did, and it's actually a shame that there's only a single copy in there. I think we should just like halt the match and add more copies. Like probably cut Minsc and Boo
How
and add
many
more
Minsc and
Snapcaster
Boos
Mages.
are in the deck? Probably one.
Only 2.
Oh, all right. I
It's
was
not
hoping it would at
rare
least
to see
be
actually
even.
3 copies. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty rare in Legacy that you see 3 copies of a Foreigner Planeswalker.
Yeah. All right. So I think all 3 matches are shuffling right now. So I don't know which players have the most fancy shuffling, but I guess we'll stick on Legacy. And so okay. So I was talking about how Pioneer has the green decks have been developing rapidly over the last month, and you're talking about a month back we saw Minsc and Boo's like as a one of in a couple different decks. Now you're saying we're seeing 2 and 3 copies in certain places.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. Like, can you imagine if you untap this chase and instead of like brainstorming, it did straight up drew 4 cards and killed your opponent's creature?
I mean, that seems good.
Yeah, and on the turn before, it also hit the opponent for 4 with a haste creature. It's absolutely incredible. The one downside that I'm gonna mention is it's insanely weak to Caracas, right? You bounce the hamster, Minsc does nothing. Minsc creates a new hamster, you bounce it. Like it's perpetually caught in the cycle of nothingness.
Mhm.
And looking at the deck list, there's no wastelands, so you will actually be caught in that if the opponent ever has that. Of course, in this matchup, not to be feared, there's no Caracas gonna be around. And yeah, Minsc Boo, I really want to say on top of like all the power that it has, another big advantage, and it's really not to be underestimated, is that it can't be pyroblasted.
Mhm.
And that comes up so many times. I've played my fair share of Izzet over the last couple of months, and stuff like the Wandering Emperor, right, which comes
Yeah.
down at instant speed is wide. You're sitting there behind your Flusterstorms, behind your Pyroblast. You're like, okay, come at me, I'm ready. And then Wandering Emperor comes down, or in this case, Minsc Boo, which is even more powerful, even more dominating. And yeah, I think the card is the real deal, and I'm actually super excited to see it in action in the second game as well.
All right. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and stay here as we did watch game 1 of that green mirror. The game 2 and 3 of the green mirrors are going to look very much like game 1. As we talked about, neither player actually boards in much of relevance or even boards at all. And so we're not going to see much change. But uh, Charles Eiler and Zach Allen are playing Legacy here, and we'll see if Charles can manage a little better here against this Minsc and Boo craziness. This is what is this Minsc and Boo plus Snapcaster Mage? Is that Stoneblade? So this is I know I saw a little bit of Harlan Fear doing well. I feel like this was just last week, and I actually see somebody in chat mentioned it also. I believe that was at the Star City.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the same list or not, but I know Zach Allen and Harlan Fear do run the same circles and do speak quite a bit. So it could be very similar deck list to what we saw last week.
It's interesting because what I'm seeing here, decklist wise, isn't really a thing, at least on Magic Online right now, which of course is a big part of that is that Minsc Boo is not there, like I
Mhm.
already mentioned. This is 4 color Stoneforge. When we see 4 color, it's usually more like something like Teferi. I guess that we have that one here as well. Narset, Uro. But here we see Stoneforge, Minsc Boo, and the rest is pretty much the same. But yeah, Stoneforge already like fills up 7 of the slots, which explains why there's nothing else of that going on. And it really speaks, it's a testament to the power of Minsc Boo that we don't even see Uro in here. It's like,
Mhm.
we have Minsc Boo, it's fine. I won't care about any of like your Graveyard Hate or about your Pyroblasts. Obviously, Pyroblast. Actually, when you think about it, the only real card that's annoying is like when you get your Forceful Pyroblasted or maybe a Teferi. But the rest is super powerful. Also in the sideboard, 3 copies of Carpet of Flowers, which is like an absolute MVP against all these Stalwart decks.
Yeah, Carpet's so strong. I know Harlan did have 3 copies of Carpet last week as well, and that is Carpet of Flowers is of all of the possible hate cards in it's such a nice one. It doesn't just end the game. It's not demoralizing to play against, but it's just so nice to have.
Yeah, it really shapes the way the game has to be played from the Dev opponent because when it comes down, sometimes you can force it. Like dazing is usually a rather easy call, but also not most of the time. But there's a lot of games where you feel like, okay, the game is gonna be like all my tempo stuff doesn't really work all that well anymore. I have to
Mhm.
close up the game quickly. So now all of my forces, if I still have them, I really only go on the cards that influence the board, like your swords, plowshares, your bigger creatures, and all the other stuff. I'm just gonna let happen, and I hope to close it out before I run out of cards, and it's that extra strategic component that really makes adds to the enjoyment of the games. Of course, not so much for the Java player because even though it's a strategy, like it alters the strategy of the matchup, it usually also like your win percentage takes quite the hit if a carpet resolves.
All right, so changing tack a little bit here. We're talking about Minsc and Boo a lot, and you're talking about your new elf decks that are just all mid-range stuff. When are we gonna have elves with Minsc and Boo? Elf,
I was
hamster, tribal, team up. Let's go.
I was thinking about it actually
Well,
when
yeah.
Minsc Boo like was spoiled. I was like, yeah, 4 mana planeswalker, it's we played 5 mana planeswalkers like Nissa Vital Force and Evson was great. The thing is, like in Legacy, we don't really do that heavy dedicated control gaming anymore. So there's nothing to really like go on top, like properly go on top of the mid range decks. So it feels like everybody has been pushing their decks into the mid range, except for combo decks, of course. And they almost want to say like rule supreme. I don't know. Maybe there's gonna be like some insane fast combo deck gonna come in, like the Epic Gamble comes to mind, or somebody's gonna make a proper control deck. But right now, it's not really happening.
Well, yeah, but if you're gonna trump Minsc, like we saw in Modern, these 4-color decks, now it's pretty common to see Emrakul's main deck, whereas for a while it was just in the sideboard, and before that we kind of didn't see them much at all. Now they're all over the place. So yeah, maybe Minsc Boo. Okay, well, scratch that line of thought. As we have carpet here from Zach Allen, and that does mean a Force of Will. Pitching iteration, so that's costly for Charles, but yeah, it
Definitely.
does. Uh,
I mean, a minor aspect that might also go into this is that Zach hasn't presented any white mana yet. So who knows? Maybe like we know better. We've seen the basic planes in Zach's hand already. But from Charles' side, you might think, oh, maybe Zach is starved on white mana, can't cast remover spells, and I would just like get in there. Especially like if you cast a creature next turn. We will see how much damage this is going to be. Is this going to be already flying? We need some dynamic animations on screen.
Absolutely.
Can our production team do that? Whenever a creature like hits delirium or something, we draw little wings on it and +2/+2.
Yeah, or at
I'm
least
down.
a sticker, some kind of it's really we just need something on the table. Or yeah, an animation would be, simpler, but you know,
How they have like these big chess pieces with like actual humans and they move around? Maybe we
yes.
can have like people like invite all the cosplayers in the world and somebody dresses up as Murktide and stuff
Wow.
and then we film that instead of the actual table. That's the future of Magic.
Excellent. That
Yeah,
I will look
I'm
forward to
out of
this.
here. I just took a chop by Wizards of the Coast. See you. Bye bye. Okay.
All right.
So yeah, that's gonna be a Stoneforge. Oh no. Okay, we're just trying to take out the counterbalance. Great.
Chandler is the reveal. Caravel's out of here.
Didn't even need to review. Oh, of course we blind
Yeah,
revealed.
you
Yeah.
do.
Okay. We
Yeah.
didn't know the top.
All right. In for that looks like a 12, so 3 and a second one. All right. All right. Well, if Zach Allen's turn is just Stoneforge Mystic, he has potential to fall behind here.
Yeah, at this point, you might almost get like Batterskull. I've played my fair share with Chitta and Batterskull as well. But Batterskull not so much recently, and I felt like they almost don't feel up to standards of Legacy anymore. In this deck, I can see it because you're playing more of a controller's aspect than in most Stoneforge decks. But yeah, we see Zach going for the Caldra and basically saying, okay, I'm still going to race you, which, yeah, I was going to say to me, tells me, okay, there's probably going to be more Ice Fang Codals and removal spells. And I think there's an Ice Fang Codal in hand. Playing it to stays.
Well, that's going to mean a Pyroblast here, and Zach Allen's going to lose half his life, and he's going to need something. He is currently dead on the board, even with this all-powerful, indestructible, Trampoline Cauldron Complete coming down.
Yeah, and even Batterskull wouldn't have done it, right? So the only card that would have even kept us alive would have been Chitta. But now we found a removal spell, so at least we're only dead to Lightning Bolt now.
Now,
Unless
Prismatic
there's
Vista
something else.
is a great land, but it is going to somewhat punish Zach Allen here. Unless he has a second Plains in his deck, this Stoneforge Mystic is not going to be able to activate this turn.
Let me check. I think there's a second Plains in the deck. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I take it back. Prismatic Vista's unbroken record of just being good continues on.
Unless we sided it out.
Yeah, that's important note and also unlikely. Although we do see, so in Pioneer, we do, because of the having the double face lands that are spells on the front, we do actually sideboard lands out sometimes, but unlikely to have happened here. We got Charles looking for a lightning bolt here. If you can find one, he's probably going to be clean through this game.
We
Bang, there it is.
Oh,
Yep. And in response to the
not good.
fetch, Zach Allen will take 3 damage, and that will do it. Tie up this match.
Oh, imagine if that Snapcaster we had in hand wasn't a real card. Say a
Yeah,
removal spell.
a real card. I mean, yeah, I wonder, you know what? I wonder because if there was a second planes, Zach could have Snapcastered the Prismatic Ending or put in the Cauldron on his turn. So that is interesting that he didn't do either one of those things here. And we're back to Pioneer, and we have Karns on both sides now.
So how does it work out when both players have Karn? I see
Well,
like the what's it called? Sky flagship something? Sovereign
yeah,
skyship?
right.
Almost.
So Kaleb could actually Karn wish for Sky Sovereign and use the Sky Sovereign to shoot down Will's Karn, which would then turn on
Would
his
be rude.
artifacts. But at the moment, Will's Sky Sovereign cannot crew because of the opposing Karn.
You mentioned that there's like very little interaction. Is that like one of the few ways that we can actually like interact with our opponent's permanents in this matchup?
I mean, there is interaction. There are artifacts to interact. There are no like really cards you board in that like there are no cards you actually play in the 60. But there is some interaction. I believe that was Immortal Sun that Kaleb just wished for. We can pop that up. There it is. So this will shut down Planeswalkers and then just give Kaleb an immense advantage. And with the, so the Karn's on the board. So the Skyship cannot crew. Caleb's spells are cheaper. His creatures are bigger, and he draws an extra card every turn. So
Can we
6
get
mana.
rid of the Immortal Sun somehow? Like if you have let's say Bosichu?
Boseiju would kill it, yes.
Bosichu, and then we animate this flagship and we attack to
Well, Boseiju could
we
kill
can
the
kill both
Immortals.
planeswalkers, right?
Boseiju, yeah, Boseiju would kill the Immortal Sun, but it's not going to kill the Karn.
But the Carnage dies to the triggered ability from flagship attacking.
No, but the flagship can't attack. It can't crew.
Can, right?
No, it
It
can't.
doesn't need to crew. You can just animate it with Karn +1.
You are correct.
I'm not sure. Does it work?
No. I believe you're right about that. Yeah, that is true. That would work.
And then you attack, let's say Kiora, and the triggered ability shoots down Karn or something.
Yeah, no, you're right. You could do that. The Cavalier can block. It has reach, but you are right that it could attack and kill the Karn, which might be significant enough on its own.
Oh my god, I think there's actually that big planeswalker that you mentioned in hand.
Yeah,
The Nicol Bolas Dragon God.
Nicol Bolas was found. So often during goldfishing, during comboing off, Nicol Bolas just copies Kiora a lot of the time, sometimes Karn, but it does have other abilities, its own abilities. So Nicol Bolas is cast, but it is a pass because Immortal Sun prevents it from activating. So yeah, Boseiju to kill the Immortal Sun is the first step that Will needs so that everything else we talked about, like you talked about animating the Karn, using the Karn to animate the Sky Sovereign, that does depend on the Immortal Sun being gone. So
yeah, there's only 2 copies of Bosichu in the deck. So that's gonna be pretty rough. Really, nothing else that is able to remove the Immortal Sun, because without card draw and anything, we really have to randomly draw it, and at that point, it looks like pretty good for Kaleb, I would think.
yeah, this Immortal Sun is going to play a big role. All right, so a whole bunch of mana made. We've got, looks like one forest that has both Wolfwillow Haven and Old Growth Troll's Death Trigger on top of it, plus the Nykthos. There's a very big Voracious Hydra. So that can either be double-sized or it can fight.
This deck must be a fan favorite. Like, tell me that this is one of the most played decks in the format.
It's certainly locally in my RCQs before I qualified, it was actually underplayed, I would say.
Compared to its power level.
Yeah, we did not see it very often. But it's certainly putting up results in some places, and it is extremely powerful deck. It is able to beat down, is able to combo, and it's able to do both of those things fairly quickly, unimpeded.
I feel almost like pretty bad for Will. Like most of Will's card, like straight up just like don't matter. We are drawing to one Besieged left in the deck.
Mhm.
And I guess there might be some creatures we might be able to like cast and try to attack and make something work, but with like a 5/6 blocker on the other side of the board, that's going to be pretty rough.
Mhm. Yeah, it looks
This
like he's
is
got
yeah,
yeah,
it might
not
actually just
much.
like be a concession here. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna do it. So Kaleb Busby is gonna 2 will play him in the green mirror. All right, Director Dave, find us another game. All right, we're going back to Legacy. No
sounds
Minsc
good.
Boo at the moment, but we do see Stoneforge and Carpet, so plenty of mana for Zach Allen.
Ooh, I love that black border at Tropical Island here. Okay. Oh, it's an altered sleeve we hear from production. Oh, I've been misled. I can never trust anymore. I should have known. I should have known. But yeah, so we got Expressive Iteration, one of the most played and appreciated cards in Legacy right now.
Mhm.
One card, I think, was the card kept on top. I think so. And you're probably picking up Days here and playing Ponder. Okay, so that means we are probably having another land in play or about to have a land in play.
Yeah.
And I guess with that we're paying 2 life for the steam runs, casting the ponder, getting another surveil trigger, looking to probably put something like a creature or an artifact into the graveyard to grow our Dragon Rage channeler. And in response, Zach gets some action. What is it gonna be, Zach?
I mean, we better do something here for Charles. Zach Allen can, with a land drop, can hard cast Cauldron Complete next turn.
You're right. Oh dear.
So that's
Talk about Carpet of Flowers. I mean, I've seen Carpet of Flowers, like 2 Carpet of Flowers hardcast Emrakul in the past. It's
yeah,
a thing.
sure. Yeah. Now, getting Cauldron Complete dazed cannot be something that's happened very many times in competitive Legacy, but it would be on the table in that scenario. It is in hand. And so are you sure there's only one Snapcaster? Zach Allen's drawn to every game. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that's the card in the deck.
it's
So
the
let's see.
companion apparently.
Okay. All right, blue mana off of Carpet. Here's a Teferi. That's pretty nice.
Interestingly, is that a end the festivities? I almost don't think so in Charles' hand. Because
That would
it
be an
would be
odd
pretty odd.
choice.
Yeah, I thought I saw it, but I could be wrong. I was just gonna mention it because if Teferi minuses, then it can actually kill it. But I doubt that's what it says. Yeah, with this much mana, Zach is firmly in the driver's seat, sitting on a very, very healthy 18 life, all the mana in the world.
Mhm.
Planeswalker shutting down half the deck of Charles. Yeah, from Charles' side, this is gonna be rough. Like you're not gonna get rid of the Carpet of Flowers. I would guess, wanna do something like a couple of. Do we play a Ledger Shredder? Let me check that out. We are not playing Ledger Shredder, so this is a little bit more beatdown oriented, less grind potential. At this point, we probably have to like chain a bunch of expressive iterations and ideally even Mystic Sanctuary them back because right now we're not winning this. Like there's too much
Yeah.
value in Zach's hand.
Yeah.
There's a bunch
Pyroblast.
of cards in our hand on Charles' side, but none of those cards are really all that proactive. There's like Brainstorms. I think I saw Days or something. But we really need to start chaining creatures to run Zach out of stuff before Zach finds a card advantage engine
Yeah.
other than Snapcaster. You
Yeah,
know
either
what?
that
Snapcaster might actually go all the way.
yeah, either that or Charles needs to find the other not on MTGO card that's upending Legacy right now, because that would do some work, and I don't believe Zach Allen currently is an answer to Maddening Hex.
Yeah, I guess eventually you could like bounce it back with Teferi, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite far away still.
All right.
Oh dear.
Savine's Reclamation is going to bring back Stoneforge Mystic, and Charles Eiler is going to read Savine's Reclamation. So let's go ahead and put it up on the screen for any viewers that are unfamiliar with it.
I mean, this is just like the Anorak Dust card. I saw Anorak play that card like a year ago, and somehow it's stuck around ever since. This
Mhm.
is the card of infinite value if you actually get to like use it from a
Yeah.
flashback.
So bringing out Stoneforge here, which gets back Calder Complete, which got brainstormed back. So yeah, things are looking very smooth for Zach Allen here. However, he does need to win this match to even up the overall team standing, as his team is down the Pioneer match so far.
Yeah, feels pretty good. Yeah. And oh, it actually was End of Festivities.
Wow.
Okay.
There you go. All right.
You know what? That's actually one way to try. I don't know. It's sorcery speed, right? So that doesn't
Mhm.
even kill Minsc. That doesn't even kill Boo. Never
Yeah,
mind.
Zach Allen's like,
You
"What
know
is
what?
that?" Go ahead.
I figured it out. It's to deal with the Snapcaster Mage.
Oh, well, yeah, it's the most powerful card, so you would definitely wanna be able to deal with that.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not? It's just
One
that's
for one
just
trade, and you get to
good
deal one to the Planeswalker. Like,
good
this is amazing. Like, we're
good
back in the
planning.
driver's seat.
Yeah, and Mystic Sanctuary just picked up the end hostil it just picked it up.
What? Wait,
To
you, to hand?
no, you went on top of the deck, now it's being brainstormed because it's gonna be cast again to kill the Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's the Mona Lisa of plays here, at least for this game. This is incredible. You're still
So
playing like spending 2 cards on a card that's +1 on the opponent's side of the board, but still, I mean,
well,
this.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty miserable on objectively and card advantage, but it does get the Stoneforge and the Teferi off the board, so
No, if I was Zach, I would actually consider just like jamming Kaldra Complete here. I think we even have 8 mana, so we can play around like days or something. Maybe that's too greedy, and I know it's too greedy. I just want to put on a spectacle for the viewers. Come on, Zach, do it for chat one
uh,
time.
I think what we're seeing here is actually Sphinx Reclamation Flashback is being dazed.
No Surveil trigger. I think it has been missed,
Uh,
unless we know the top card.
we
Oh
do
no,
know the
there we
top
go.
card. We brainstormed to put 2 back, surveilled one of them already. Zach's like, "I'll pay 1," and Charles is like, "Okay, that's all I got." So here's Teferi and Stoneforge Mystic. Pretty good deal. Zach will look through his deck again, grab another equipment.
This chitter. No, it looks like Better Skull, right?
I I think that's a better skull. I have no idea. I think it's a better
Yeah.
skull. It looked like one word.
Big one word, probably Better Skull.
Yeah. Yeah, even Director David doesn't know, and he's pretty good on these things. All right, so the Dragon Ridge Chandler for the second consecutive turn gets bounced by a Teferi, and Zach Allen looking very
You know,
comfortable.
for as much as I like the play last turn, if we do the same thing again, where we like end festivities and Mystic Sanctuary back and play it again, that feels pretty miserable. Oh my god, is this actually what's happening here? Like
Uh,
we basically skipped 2 draw steps to do that. I mean, I get that it like deals with what's happening here, but it really doesn't excite me.
well, it's not even going to happen. This brainstorm's going to get countered, which is almost even worse because now Charles is going to have to draw it next turn, unless he has. Okay, just a bolt to take out Stoneforge. Yeah, he's working very hard to keep Cauldron Complete off the board, but it's just going to come down to hardcast anyway if Zach ever wants it to.
Yeah, and I think with the oh no, it's in the graveyard. Okay. So whenever I'm like I find these situations, I try to construct like a sequence of events of scenarios that makes it so that Charles can get back into the game, but it feels just impossible, Joe. Like,
Mhm.
do you like you're I don't know omnipotent? You can put any card on top of Charles' deck for the rest of the game. Does he win the game? I'm not sure.
Well,
I don't think so.
I mean, even if he drew a bunch of Maddening Hexes in a row, Zach doesn't currently have to cast anything else because this Germ is just going to beat the crap out of Charles.
He's
So,
just gonna win the race, and Sack is also
mhm,
sitting on a Hydroblast here.
yeah,
So, oh god, this one gets last chance. Okay, now we got this big guy, and Teferi not yet ready to minus.
right. But Teferi's going to have to plus and then even if Zach has nothing, Teferi would plus and then bounce the Murktide or get hit by it either way. And this Germ is still going to keep crashing in.
Yeah, you're saying he's basically like losing the race.
He's losing in like every avenue possible.
We're using our carpet mana. Starts the Plowshare's big dragon. Charles completely out of stuff, facing down the best equipment in Legacy, one of the best planeswalkers in Legacy, and a big bus full of lifelink. Yeah.
I don't know how much mana Zach
Enough.
has from that carpet. He might just be able to equip that Batterskull onto the germ,
Oh,
onto the
dude,
Cauldron germ.
Exodia time. Let's do it.
All right, in for across here with the Cauldron complete, and yeah, Charles is on his last turn here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Chat is saying Charles needs to draw a moat. And even that one would get beaten by Teferi.
yeah, 1% win might be overstating it. There could be Zach could suddenly contract explosive diarrhea and have to run to the bathroom and not be able to return to the match. Maybe Charles
Common
would win in that
occurrence.
scenario. Um, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what else.
I think this one's the book. I think Modern is actually going to be the one that's going to
Yeah.
decide the winner of this match.
Mm-hmm. Here's a Quaddle. Another Quaddle. Zach just burning through his carpet mana here.
I think we drew a Force of Will. It doesn't do anything.
No.
This attack should be lethal now.
All right. So this is going to end Legacy, and we are at 1-1. So it's coming down to Evan Wooden and Mason Clark. And it looks like we're on turn 3 of game 3. So we should see the bulk of this game to decide who wins.
So this is it Breach, from what I understand? Wait, it's grinding state. Okay, I think I know quite a bit about Modern, but I'm not sure I've seen this deck before.
Okay, so Izzet Breach is basically it's a Dragon Rage Channeler seeming deck that also has the Emery
Yeah,
to
like I'm
recast.
seeing the cards right now.
Right,
It's just
right, yeah. So it has Emery and Mishra's Wobble for card advantage, and then it has the Underworld Breach, which is banned in Pioneer, to be able to cobble together a combo win off of decking yourself, remaking mana, and then I believe Thassa's Oracle is just a win condition, right? Is there a Thassa's
yeah. That's
Oracle in
not
deck?
how
Yeah.
you win. There's
Yeah.
grinding station here, Mox Amber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mox Amber is how you continue to make mana. So you just replay the Mox and then grinding station yourself to mill through the deck. And then at the end, you play the Thassa's Oracle.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Like okay, how do you grinding station untapped when artifact comes to play? Okay, it all makes sense now. And then you just like got a selection of like good stuff cards, like Ragavan is just there because your opponent needs to deal with it, I guess. Okay,
Mhm.
So how does this work?
It's
I mean,
kind of
looks pretty good from
yeah.
Evan's side right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is another you talked about. I mean, this is kind of the thing that a lot of powerful decks throughout the last decade of Magic have been, some kind of grindy mid-range presence and then having a combo win as a way to just put alternate pressure your opponent in a different way, which is definitely what we're seeing in this deck. Now, Mason Clark may have certainly plenty of interaction to fight back against this, but this is a breach deck isn't something that I think is extraordinarily popular, but it is certainly capable. Jesse Robkin wrote a fairly detailed article about this a few months ago on how this deck operates.
This is the kind of deck you certainly need a manual for.
Mhm.
I see the Grape Shot is another way to, I guess, get the win eventually. Yeah, this is. I'm not even sure how to approach this. I guess if you're the 4-color Blink player, you just like try to get your value in and control them because they don't really play any kind of like protective cards, I want to say, or anything that's. I guess the only way they can get card advantage is Expressive Iteration
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
Emery, of
Emery.
course.
Yeah, Emery. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So both sides of the board sitting on the Teferi. Basically, you get to do like all your dreams can come true, but can you actually make them come true? Your opponent is not gonna be interfering with you in any way. This is really your choice of destiny, of
Mhm.
fate.
Yeah, when the graveyard if the graveyard's not interacted with uh, by Mason Clark, then Evan Wooden conceivably can just grind through a game and then get to a point where Underworld Breach could be cast and then just win on the spot. Which is here's a breach. So is this? I don't know the contents of the entire graveyard. I don't know if this is going to be a value breach or is this just going to end the game. So here's a bobble. Exile 3 cards in the graveyard to play that from the graveyard. And then what else are we going to see?
We're checking out the opponent's top deck. Or
Second
not yet.
bobble. All right, so this might just be for value here because Underworld Breach, since it sacrifices itself at the end of the turn, it's not going to stick
Can you
around,
just like
obviously.
minus Teferi on it if you really want to?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
Teferi would
could.
die in the process,
Yeah,
right?
right. You lose your Teferi, which is a cost. But if you're basically playing Underworld Breach to draw 3 cards, uh, with 2 baubles and the Teferi, I mean, that is respectable. Although it does, giving up Teferi does matter.
Okay, Evan's here. Okay, so I got this value. Where do we go from here? Just like draw a couple of extra cards. Maybe that's actually the exact thing that we're considering. Like, do we just like cash in the Teferi?
Well, here's
More stuff.
Memory. So
We can still like cast something. Oh, we're out of mana though.
yeah, Mox Amber would have been the card to draw there, or to mill there. I mean, because then that could have been recast. But yeah, without the grinding station, there's no infinite recursion there. However, that was still a pretty solid turn for Evan Wooden.
I was gonna say, why are we not drawing cards right away with the bobbles? But I guess since the opponent has Teferi in play, there's not really any like need to.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't really matter. I mean, you could have just learned a card that they're going to draw instead of learning later on. There's no black in these decks, so discard's not going to be any concern. But yeah, without the ability to interact during Mason's turn, cards in hand don't matter too much right now.
So this is the forest land that came out. So you taught me well about the Omnath, right? So you need a fetch land in play, and then you need to play a fetch land on your turn, and then you
Right.
can go ultimate. So if
Right.
Mason draws a fetch land here, or maybe has one in play, he can go and just like nuke out the Teferi on the other side of the board. But I think there's no fetch land. I guess he would have already played that now. Yeah, he's trying to figure it out, but might just be a pass here.
Well,
There's another hand coming to. Oh,
yeah.
that was creepy. Third hand coming in, and we're gonna solitude. Yeah, okay. No card advantage engine for you. Makes sense.
Okay. We were just informed there are 3 minutes left in this game. And so not
Either
only was
player
this,
could take this, right?
yeah, so Solitude was pitched and then Endurance was pitched also. So Mason just gave up 4 cards to get rid of the Emery and Evan's Graveyard, which immediately gets rebuilt with 2 baubles, which he'll draw from there and then draw for the turn. So a bit of a reload. And now a fetch will shuffle back in the Thassa's Oracle and which you don't necessarily want to draw, but the Breach as well. And something shuffling
Okay.
later in a game like this, with I believe 6 or 9 cards exiled already for Evan. Shuffling now does actually improve the quality of your deck, assuming you removed fetch lands and stuff from the graveyard for your breach cost.
Okay, there's our third hand helping the other player this time. Okay,
There's
here's the Mox
Mox.
Amber. So how much mana does Evan need to win on the spot? You need Mox Amber, you need Grinding Station, and you need Underworld Breach, right? That's the 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
like 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. I mean, that's doable.
Yeah, it's not too much because the grinding station can sack the Mox and then the Mox can re-tap.
Mason basically did everything he could to make sure that Evan is untapping on a board of basically no resources or relevant like resources other than lands. But Evan has really rebuilt quite well. And also that makes so much more sense now, right? That he didn't crack the bobbers because now they remain in the graveyard as opposed to like being exiled by the endurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tight plays all around.
Yeah, yeah. Although we have the Ledger Shredder that just came down here and did not connive because it was played after the other cards. So that maybe could have gone differently. Anyway. That's a dress down. Okay.
just like I guess a desperation dress down, right? Because I mean,
Yeah, well, we saw one just out already today. It was just like, oh, this is just a cantrip, and then the player ended up getting exploited
yeah.
for doing it against Ivan Espinosa. That's an uncommon occurrence. But here the turn is passed back, so both players still with Teferi in play.
I kind of want to see these games play out without the Teferis. I'm not gonna lie. Even though this probably makes it so much harder for Evan, like when you have to constantly fear
Yeah,
an endurance.
yeah. I
That's
remember
yeah.
back in the day, I always was thinking, oh, I wish we could play these miracles mirrors and both players board out counterbalance, because then you'd really have it'd be hard to luck into a win in that place. You'd have to play a long, grindy game. I mean, that happened anyway, but even more so without counterbalance. So yeah, the same thing here without Teferi. Okay, Mox. Let's see. Emery got bounced by Teferi to be able to mill 4 more cards.
There's another one. It almost feels like these Emerys, if you assuming you eventually have Underworld Breach, they're almost like cantrips when they come into play. It's just like you add 4 more cards.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there's the Milling Thassa's Oracle goes over again, which is too relevant at this point. Time has been called. So with 5 turns to go here, I would say Evan Wooden is looking very good here to be able to either win or get a draw. And he just played Underworld Breach again. So we have the Mox this time.
That should,
There
from what
goes
I
the other
understand, get him
Karn.
pretty deep into the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really only looking for grinding station here now, right?
Yeah. So Karn just went on the connive. I was trying to figure out how they get discarded. That was to the connive.
It
That breach, I believe, is in play.
should be,
Oh,
right? Oh,
okay.
it's now part of the lands?
It yeah, it is. Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Yeah, see, this is what I meant, right? These Emerys, they feel like cantrips. This is
Yeah.
like 1 mana impulse. Or even better, like you draw those 4 cards, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You know what would be really good in this? Like Black Lotus.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose.
Where's the
Creating
grinding
lots of
station?
scenarios. It is not here.
So let's look at it from the other side. If
Okay.
Gavin really fails, which is from what I understand rather unlikely, we have 9 power in play. Next turn 9. Yeah, I wish. We have 3 power in play. Next turn we can make it 4. We can attack twice. We can attack for 4 and 5. So technically we can take it from here.
How are we? I'm not sure how we're counting this. 4 and 5 is Evans at 9. Mason's at 21.
Oh, see, I was attacking myself. It
Yeah,
hurt Devin's confusion.
these elves players, I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, so no, I don't think Evan can win with damage, and I don't think Mason can win at all. But Evan could win with a combo here, whether it's this turn or maybe in one of the 2 additional turns he's going to have. In the meantime, he's just casting Emeries over and over again, burning off cards. I guess he can just with every blue mana he can do this, looking for a
Imagine
grinding
showing
station.
this to a beginner of Magic. Like they would have
Yeah,
absolutely no like these
yeah,
cards are like changing zones all the time. Like what is going on here? Like you're milling yourself. Like what is it? Like imagine you win this, you go home, your friends ask you, hey, how did you win? Like I have no idea. My opponent just they had no idea what's going on. Okay, so we cast another spell
yeah.
from okay, we're making more mana.
Yeah, so Mox got cast. Emery is being recast. So this puts 4 cards in the graveyard and requires 6. So it's going to run out eventually. But Evan is getting awfully far into his deck without even having a grinding station yet. And notably, it doesn't cost any mana to do this.
Yeah, so the Moxen are gonna give him more mana, but eventually you're gonna run out of cards.
Right.
Oh my, how many cards are left there? Yeah.
Ooh, that wasn't too many. And there's 3 devotion in play right now.
I was gonna ask about that, right?
Yeah. So
Can we just like naturally
I mean, we're
Thassa's Oracle
probably
here?
close. I didn't identify the count that Evan just made on the deck size. I don't know how many were there, but he could win
Nuking
with
the Emerys is insane. Like you literally get to mill yourself for 4. Like this could
yeah.
really go all the way without any
Yeah.
kind of grinding station. Chat, by the
Okay.
way, is saying like we even have like 5 devotion with Oracle.
Right,
And
right. Yeah, because there's 3 in play right now. So yeah, that would make 5. So here's another Mox. Or I say another Mox, the same Mox. Here's the same Emery. Okay, I guess a bauble, activate bauble. I think he's doing that because he needs to be able to eat it. Yeah,
Mhm.
there it goes. Just leaving the oracle. So we've reached the end of, or at least close to it, of how much milling can actually be done here. But I'm not sure how much deck is left. I think it's close enough. Here's a oracle for
Yeah.
5, and that's going to do it. Evan Wooden is going to jury rig this combo together without drawing one of the combo pieces and take down this match for his team. So congratulations to him. That was well played.
This is beautiful. This is absolutely clean, beautiful Magic. And I felt like Evan was exactly knowing what he was playing towards the entire time.
Yeah.
Right? We were like, oh, no grinding station again, no grinding station again. And Evan was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep looping these. I'm going to keep milling myself. And eventually the Marfok is going to go all the way. I don't need no grinding stations. That's like,
Yeah.
that's training wheels. We don't need that.
The okay, so some comments from chat. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know, but we obviously can't go back and fix it. Anyway, that was the conclusion of that match. It does appear that the team of, we don't see it, remember, but Evan Wooten's team did win. So let's, oh, that's unfortunate. All right. Anyway, so that is going to conclude round 4. We're going to step away for a moment and we'll be back with round 5. 4 matches still playing, so the break probably won't be too extensive, but it's hard to judge on these things because some of these team matches do last a long time. But thanks for enjoying the coverage. We'll be right back.